Welcome to the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy Podcast, where business meets purpose, growth feels good, and results meet enjoyment. Hosted by Katherine Breuss, CEO and founder of AG45, this show is built on 30 years of hands-on experience across 4 countries, 3 businesses, and 1 incredible life raising 4 children. Katherine brings a rare whole-person perspective to business, strategy, and leadership. This podcast is for business owners ready to stop spinning, start aligning, and build a business that delivers real value while creating a life that actually feels like yours. At the end of the day, you are the engine behind it all. And when you're clear and aligned, everything moves with purpose. It starts with you. Let's dive in.
Welcome everyone to the AG45 Soul Line Strategy Podcast. I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Kirsten Hildebrand from Hildebrand Law Firm. Kirsten, welcome. It is great to have you. And I want to just throw the mic over to you and would love you to share with our audience who you are as a human, and then tell us about your business.
Thank you so much. And I am truly honored to be here. So Hildebrand Law Firm is one of my babies. It was birthed in 2001, actually the exact same year that my daughter was born. So very much my business is connected to my children. Gabrielle is the second of 3. And as Hildebrand Law Firm grew over the years, we started in my office at my home, and then over the course of time, I was able to find a wonderful mentor attorney who took me into his office and then morphed into needing my own office and my own space because I needed to hire a paralegal, and then I needed to hire a lawyer, and then I needed to hire another legal secretary, and things just sort of blossomed and grew over the years. And then as the kids started to need jobs, there's that weird funky age between the age of say 10 and 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there, when they really should be working, but the child labor laws say no, and yet they really should be understanding how mom is getting food on the table. So I had all of the children re-enter Hildebrand Law Firm as doing the worst grunt work possible in the summer times and whatnot. But it was a phenomenal opportunity for them to see me at work and see what that looks like. The money does not just fall out of the trees, correct? And here's what we have to do in order to make that happen. So Hildebrand Law Firm has been very much a family business in that respect. And then as they exited and went off to college and law school, because I have one that finished his degree and have sort of developed their own wings and gone in different directions, then I've had to then pull in and backfill with other amazing people. And Hildebrand Law Firm, we are located now right above the Trader Joe's at Bayshore Mall. And we are so delighted to have 7 attorneys on staff. My most recent addition is an 84-year-old attorney who is incredible, this amazing wealth of knowledge. He's been doing business and business litigation for all of his career, and he's looking to pass his knowledge on to some of the other attorneys here at the firm. So it's been just a wonderful addition to have Ralph Allinger join us. And then we have support staff that we really could not do anything without, and they are amazing as well, operating in all sorts of different avenues. We've had to really think through the structure of Hildebrand Law Firm and how do you do this, because we are different as a service corporation there, and as a service corporation that needs to also think about how do we make sure that we maintain the highest level of legal services to our clients. That means that we have to be pernicious about the law, and we have to be so complicated and into the details that we're able to then provide to our clients excellent legal services for a reasonable price point without having to go downtown. That's really what we are all about, is making sure that we retain that easy entry point. Because let's face it, Katherine, nobody decides that they want to come to a law firm because they're excited to spend money on something fun. That does not happen. We are not selling jumping gyms. We're not selling, amazing clothing or anything that's going to like necessarily be intrinsically something like, oh, I woke up this morning and I really want to buy myself a new sweater and I'm going to go to Hildebrand Law Firm for it.
I really want to think about my death and what's going to happen to me and all of those things, or I need to get divorced, or like, oh.
Totally. And so at the heart of Hildebrand Law Firm all along has been a very strange word that I don't know that any other lawyers are using, and that is love. We really try to keep love foremost. And so when we have clients coming in, we really think about, okay, how can I give this person love in this situation? And so, of course, that takes many different forms. But fundamentally, I never want a client to walk out feeling worse than when they came in because the lawyer has been condescending or maybe rude or pointing out things that the client did wrong that they should have been smarter about. Those attitudes do not enter Hildebrand Law Firm. We say, hey, but for the grace of God go I, and therefore we extend compassion and understanding and therefore love to all of our clients. And I think that is really what sets us apart. And that's why we've been able to grow so effectively over these 25 years, is that we truly have developed client connections that go far beyond just that attorney-client relationship, that really feed their soul. And so that's why I love the title of this program and the fact that you're looking at the soul. What does the soul need? And how do we fulfill that? And how do we give that to our clients that are coming in the door?
I love it. Oh my God, cool. So this is now tell us about you, like you as a human, which I'm assuming love is a big value of yours if you're bringing that into your firm.
Yes. So I went to law school coming out of a family that was extremely traditional. And this might even sound strange to some of the listeners, but the only reason that I was allowed to go to college is because I will meet my husband there. And so when I decided to switch my major from teaching to sort of something broader that would get me into law school, that was not looked upon positively at all. And when I applied to law school and got into UW-Madison, and I had a 100% chance of getting in there, and still my parents were against it. My grandmother, who was a lovely individual and honestly one of my favorite people, wrote me a letter with a newspaper clipping saying how we do not need any more lawyers in the world and how it is a terrible idea for you as a woman to become a lawyer, and that I should really reconsider my decision and not go to law school. And so that was the general sense of lack of positivity and lack of love coming from my family background for something that nobody else in the family had done, especially as females. So that was what I took.
So I'm curious, was it because you were a woman and they didn't think a woman should be a lawyer, or was it just because they thought going into the legal aspect was like bad regardless, or what was it? Do you mind me asking?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so I think it was a mix of both. Most certainly it was because I was a woman. No question about that. But it was also, lawyers are evil. The legal profession is terrible. The legal system is horrible. And so therefore, you shouldn't try to develop yourself in an area of practice that's just yucky. And to that I say, well, if I'm not going to go into the practice of law and try to make it better. And by the way, I think that in general, Wisconsin's court system is really excellent. And I do hold the legal profession in very high regard. And I don't think that people really recognize how significant it is that we have laws and that we have the enforcement of laws until they've had something terrible happen to them. And then they really recognize, wait, if we don't have the legal system, we don't have anything. We've got anarchy. And
Yeah.
so that is like so important for great people to go into the practice of law so that we can uphold and sustain the justice system so that we don't have the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
People
Yes.
getting, just shot on the street because there's an argument that happened, or we don't have medieval England, and we don't have things happening, just in crazy locations of the world, even today, where they literally do not have a system of law that guides and governs the way people treat each other. So anyway, I developed that passion for the law and for being missional with my approach to life in general, because it is missional. And so then, coming out of law school, I was able to practice in labor and employment law for probably about somewhere between 5 and 7 years, depending on if you're counting law school time in those firms. And then really went out and started to branch into other areas of law. And I am a lifelong learner. So every single area of law that Hildebrand Law Firm projects out as being an expert in, I have learned that area and developed in that area, and then found a lawyer to essentially take it and run with it. But I know what's happening in that area of the law, whether it be real estate, probate, estate planning, small business, any sort of elder law, and anything else related to those things. And we do a tremendous amount of litigation. So who I am as a person, I'm a fighter.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yes. So I love taking on challenges. So the instinct in me is to fight for people who need an advocate in court. And I love doing the litigation side of things. And that has really been in my family law practice, as well as the inheritance litigation that we have rolling in all the time. And it's because I like to champion people and give them a voice when they themselves might not have the ability to articulate. At the same time, I'm a partner. I love to partner with my clients. And so I say, I'm bringing the legal knowledge and expertise and the clarity of thinking, but you're bringing so much background and the richness of the culture that you come from and the situation. And you know these people, and we want to move towards the outcome that you desire. And what is that outcome? And that's what we're going to shoot for. So all of those things is what I bring to then the development of the business, is that I'm a fighter, and I like
Yes.
to fight for more ground in developing the business further and sort of bringing this, what I think is a very unique approach and perspective to human beings that walk in our doors.
You're a fighter with love.
Yes.
You're a fighter with love, and you said missional. I've written these words down because um really cool words, and it speaks volumes in terms of your values and what you believe. So I'm curious, um it's been 24 years, right?
Yes,
And
of Hildebrand Law Firm, we're coming up on our 25th.
so, has your family come around? Have they come around and been like, yes, yay, and now championing and being an advocate for you?
That's a good question. I would say everybody in the generation of my parents and my grandmother, I think that they definitely understood and maybe became a little proud. It's not an issue in the cousins and the siblings, and everybody's super good with all of it. And I've got a sister-in-law who's a judge, and I've got other, super successful females and males everywhere in our family. So yeah, but
That's really cool. So it's interesting. Like, speaking about like soul lined, I mean, something had spoken to you. I mean, so if you're and if main people in your family are saying don't do this, don't do this, we want you to go a different direction, and you still are like, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go in this direction, something was speaking to you. So the way it sounds to me from what I've heard is that you were aligning with what your soul wanted, and what your soul needed. And, imagine if you went another direction and you didn't, to please others, which would probably be a misalignment of your soul, and both have consequences to that. So, am I right in saying that you went down more of a soul line path for you?
Yes, very much so. And I think you couldn't have said it better. That is exactly right. There was a calling. And I believe that every human being is here on this earth at this time in their family, in their culture, in their situation for a particular calling.
Hmm.
And I think they're all equally as important.
Yeah.
So I hope that anyone listening to this will just really start to think about, okay, could that possibly be the case for me? Because the answer is yes. I am not unique. I believe that everyone has a particular calling. And so just like I wake up in the morning and I think about practicing law and how do I get to be a lawyer and how do I develop that? I would never wake up in the morning and think, how can I become a gastroenterologist? Or how can I become a dentist? Never even occurred to me to become a dentist. And and I find that fascinating. Don't you, Catherine? Because it's like literally we each have an imprint in our souls as far as what it is that we are supposed to be giving out into the world at this time. And it all works. It all works together so magnificently that one cannot really think that this is all by chance.
Well, what's interesting to that? You are unique in an aspect. So you said that you're not unique, but what I in an aspect of having a purpose and a reason why you're here, and the imprint, and where you are though unique, because what I find is that less people are aligned with, believe, with their soul. And a lot of where you're unique is you went against what everyone was telling you in your universe at that time in your life. And that's not easy. A lot of
No,
people would have said, oh, you know what? I'm going to go down this road because, oh, mom and dad are saying this, or this is the smart thing to do, or whatever. And they are living a misaligned life. Now, it's not saying that their life has no purpose and has no meaning or anything like that, but it's a lot harder. It is a lot harder in terms of, I don't know, the day to day and where they're getting, because they didn't follow their soul.
and I do agree with that. And I think that there's a lot of hope. The hope is in the fact that you can get aligned at any point in your life.
100%.
I
Yes.
don't think it's ever too late. And so
No.
even if if you're 20 and you're listening to this and you're thinking, I just know in my heart that I am supposed to be a psychologist, and everybody is telling me that it's too difficult and I shouldn't, and I'm not cut out for it, and maybe I should just maybe be a school counselor or just get my undergrad degree, but I know I'm supposed to be a psychologist, then you should do that. You should listen to that, and you should put your heart in alignment with that mission that you've been given. But if you're 45 and you're thinking, I missed the boat completely, I felt that when I was 20 years old and I didn't. Instead, I did X, Y, and Z, and now here I am. And I've got this conglomerate of experiences, but I don't know how in the world to pull it together. There's always the question of, what could I be doing now that will take what I love to do and have them intersect into now this is my purpose. And yes, I maybe in my perfect world would have been that psychologist, but now I've say raised children and I've had experience working in a coffee shop, and I know what it's like to have to deal with difficult customers. And maybe I've also had this experience in, teaching or something like that. And all of those things all together then create this nexus of, okay, so now what do I love out of that? What I love out of that is interacting with people. Okay. And so now do that, and you will be giving so much into the world. But I think the only thing that you can do to really mess up is just ignore all of that and allow your despondency or your depression or your lack of initiative
Fear.
and
Love it.
fear and anxiety and mistrust and negativity. Just let all of that settle in. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, if you think you won't, you won't.
Mm.
It's pretty simple.
We are our thoughts. We are our thoughts. Our life, as I said to you earlier, is that, you know, our life is a reflection of who we are. It's absolutely in the sense of the decisions we make, the actions we take come from what we think and how we are actually mapping our life out. And when you don't have clarity or an alignment, the outside world is that as well. But when you actually have clarity and alignment and you follow that, and it's not to say that what I don't want to actually say out there is like, oh, people who are aligned, life is just like rosy and you're waking up and it's rainbows and
Right.
unicorns. No, it's not. But the challenges, and you mentioned this, Kirsten, and I'd like you to maybe talk a little bit more about this, is that the challenges or the hard things in life don't feel so hard when you're aligned.
And it's a little, if you've never been hungry and starving, you don't really know what that feels like because you're always just a little hungry, right? You're not starving. And it's kind of the same. When you're aligned, life feels hard, but you will never feel that feeling of it being horrifyingly hard because you're way, way off track. And I think that that's what you're so astutely articulating, is that when you are aligned with what your purpose is and why you're here and what you're supposed to be giving to the world, yes, it's difficult. And there are all kinds of things that can work against you in a certain sense. Have you ever had an experience where you're like, I'm trying to put this really good thing out there, and I've got people cutting me up and working against me, and this is not going right, and this is failing, and it feels like, am I really aligned? And the answer is yes, be reassured. If it is hard, it honestly is probably your alignment, Because if it was too easy, you probably weren't doing anything.
Right. So,
Something else that I want to touch on that I thought about as you were talking is the issue of motivation.
mm,
So one of the things that I think people get really tripped up on is, are my motives proper? Am I doing this with the right intention? And I have decided to be imperfectly motivated. So I don't know sometimes what the proper motivations are in a certain circumstance, but I can tell you that in the early years, and maybe up until very recently, I've been really motivated by fear because I didn't have any hammock that would stop me from dropping to the floor if I started in a free fall. And so because of that, fear very much has motivated me. I know we talked about love. That's been a huge motivation, but I also want to tell the audience that it's okay if you don't have perfect motives. And if your motives are, hey, you know what? I want to make money. I'm not a fan of these people who go around saying, make sure that you do what you love and the money will follow.
yeah,
I think
I agree with you on this.
yes, yes. I think that that is a nostalgic view of the world
Mm.
that is going to land you in unfortunate places where you have less power than you should have in your life. And so instead, I think, yeah, it's okay for you to be motivated by fear. It's okay for you to be motivated by even anxiety. It's okay if you can channel it, if you can channel it well. It's okay for you to be motivated by, I want to make really good money and I want to support my family well. I want to buy nice things. I want jewelry. That's okay. I want to give. I want to be able to give to my church. I want to be able to give to my children and give them great experiences. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to put together a really amazing law firm that will serve people with love. All of those things all at once can all be okay.
Well,
And
what's interesting though, and I just want to add to this because you make a really great point. And if someone is, I hear this too, kind of, and I hear it in a different way. People say, I just am here to help. And I go, okay, like stop. Like, and I'm not saying not to help, but one, I think that gives a lot of less respect for the other person because it's like people actually can help themselves and you can support and stuff. But this whole thing of people don't think it's okay to make money with what they are offering or doing, and that money is somehow bad, and it's not. First of all, we need money to live, folks. I mean, that's just the end. That's the end of the day. But it's also this, when I hear people say and talk this way, is they're speaking what they're thinking, and their thinking is that their value is low, is lower than, because you are giving time or services or whatever away, you need to get paid for that time. And that is absolutely okay if you're giving value. Now, if you're scamming someone, or or if you're not giving value and quality, then fine. Yeah, feel bad about the money that you're taking because you shouldn't.
yeah,
But
right,
if you are
right.
truly offering a service, so I really love that you're saying, and I know I'm saying it in a different way than you, but
Mhm.
like saying, like, I think you said, oh, if I love what I do, money will come. No, not necessarily at
Not
all.
necessarily at all. I love to cross stitch. Is that going to be something that's going to produce the money that I'm thinking that I want in my life? No,
Yeah. But even you as
but
a lawyer, even you running a law firm, you could love something that actually is a service that could, bring in wealth. But if
yes.
you don't know how to run a business, or you are not strategic and you don't understand how to grow well and you don't understand how to build lead or run and you don't understand operations and systems and the things to scale like you have done over the 24 years. There are so many businesses out there that they have a great product and service, but they
Mm,
don't know how to like maximize or capitalize on it that creates the wealth because then that actually creates it for those around you too and it creates it for the
definitely.
customers. So I love that you've said this because money and people there's a real like I don't know, it's like it's a bad thing to say, "Hey, I want to make money."
Very much so. I agree. And I think that also when you combine that with the idea of, okay, I have been working for now 30 years to develop a professionalism, and I'm bringing my 30 years of experience to answer your question. And I think one of the risks right now of AI
I was going to
is
ask you this.
that, yeah, is that it's like I'm putting my 30 years of experience up against an AI answer. That's ridiculous. There's no comparison. And yet people are buying into that idea. And I think that's very unfortunate because it's going to result in more litigation.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you brought AI up because it's one of the questions I've circled here that I want to ask you. And I think for a while it will be where people go, like you're hearing people go for their mental health. They're using Chat GPT as their psychologist. God, people stop. Like really,
Stop.
like stop.
Truly.
And then there was that case, I believe it was in New York, where a junior lawyer used Chat GPT to draft I don't know, draft something for the courts, and it ended up being wrong, and the cases were wrong, and there was then this litigation, and this was, I don't know, about 6 months ago or a year ago, and you're like,
Yeah.
people, this should not replace the experts and the human oversight of, you know. So actually, in your space, AI, tell me what you're up against in your space when it comes to AI.
I don't think we're really up against much at all because the the amount of information that's coming in is so daunting that now I think that people even more so recognize that they just can't even research it. It's like it's just such a flood that you need to go to a lawyer in order to have that lawyer sift through the information and say, here's the law that you need to know in order to make the decisions that we need to make right now. Because otherwise, if you go on ChatGPT, you will not get the right answer. And even if you happen to get the right information, you're not going to get the right answer for your situation. So applying the facts to the right law is what lawyers practice. And I think that that's a very important word. We practice law, which means that it's constantly changing, we're constantly growing, and we're constantly getting better at what we do. Why? Because it's complicated and it requires practice. And so, yes, the lawyer who has 20 or 30 years of experience is definitely far more valuable than the one that has 0 to 10 years of experience. And they're getting there, but it's going to take some time. And AI has 0 years of experience.
Yeah. And it's
So
got
AI
everybody,
is worse.
and it's got like bad information and everything. I'm going to give you like one example, exactly what you're talking
Please.
about. And so I'm in the process of divorce. So I gotta be a little bit careful about what I say. But husband's overseas, Australia, and he initially didn't get a lawyer. And so he was drafting all of these things, and you could tell my lawyer was kind
Oh,
of laughing at it, and he was like, okay, he's got the like the right kind of clause or law or whatever the lingo is, but it's completely out of it's
it's
completely in the wrong thing.
completely
It's
wrong.
completely wrong. He's like, I think he just went on Chat GBT and like drafted this thing, and the
Yeah.
judge slammed him, and I mean, it was kind of one of these things where you're going.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for you.
I mean, you could kind of see and go, see, now do you see
Yeah,
why I'm like,
right.
no, anyway, but it is, It is a little bit, I think it's going to take people learning, everybody's going to try this stuff out. Like, oh, I can do this. I can like chat
Yeah.
GPT, it could be my psychologist or it could be my lawyer, it could be this. And then to your point, they're going to figure out like, actually, no, it's not.
Right. It's just, yeah, it's like I said, ChatGPT is decent for, okay, if I want to find out how do I fix this valve on my refrigerator that suddenly busted off, that might be a good starting point for that. But it is not even remotely a good starting point for important things like your legal questions, your psychological questions, your spiritual questions, your emotional and questions, and even, like just getting good history, good knowledge, good information. It's not even remotely close to what it should be. So at the end of the day, ChatGPT will, or any sort of AI, will help us with maybe processes and systems,
Yeah.
getting systems and processes to talk to each other. I also see that it's really helping the scammers because now they're able to get information that they weren't able to get before, combine it with other bits of information. I just had over the weekend a text message that, or actually it was a voicemail message from an American woman who was saying, "Hi, this is so and so," and it was actually the name of a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. She said, "I need you to call me back because we need to redo your password on this particular large system that we use in Hildebrand Law Firm." And I immediately was like, this is unbelievable. So I think what's happening is AI found out that we use this system in the law firm. AI also grabbed this name, made a mistake to use a name of a friend that I would know, slammed them together, and then literally is paying somebody, a live individual someplace in the United States, is now calling and running a scam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think if anything, AI is terrifying because it is increasing the sophistication of the scams. And obviously I didn't fall for it, but one of my
There.
clients could have.
Yeah, a lot of people can. And now they got like, with video, like I can be regenerated. Videos can go out of me saying stuff or you, anyone. This is why too, the soul is so important because if we don't talk about it, if we don't keep connecting to it, we're going to start losing it. We already are with everybody being online in social media. When you
Yes.
look at kids and everything, and man, we could talk about that for like hours. But I wanted to talk about one piece with you before we left, and that was the soul aligned strategy piece. And you said something earlier to me before we got on, and you were talking about the spiritual business owner, and I would really love it if you could just share a little bit about that here, because I think it is really important, and it really does make a difference.
It makes a huge difference. And I feel so grateful that even though I had some real pushback from my family about going into the practice of law, that they were able to put me into religious environments growing up where I was able to really see what I consider to be the truth. And the truth is that there is a higher power. This is not possible. None of this is possible, really. Everything that we're doing right now, even just by speaking, is a million miracles happening all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very strong sense of that and of sort of the divine and the divine interaction with us. And so to me, then the purpose that I bring is to help people see the divine through the law. And also other business owners seeing that, hey, I can be actually creating meaning and doing something for the glory of the divine. and not just for my own self. And I think that is where we get that additional sense of meaning and purpose. And that is, I'm not just doing this for myself, I am doing it for others, but I'm also doing it for the glory of the divine and to reflect the gifts and talents that I've been given. And I think prayer for me has been the most critical component of growing Hildebrand Law Firm, because if I did not have the ability to start every day in prayer and pray for my clients, pray for all of the employees here by name every morning, pray for guidance. And, certainly I have so many examples of where I feel like it was a direct answer to prayer. I'd be like, I do not know where to get this answer from. I don't even know how to get this answer, but I really need it for a client. Say in the early days when I was first opening up Hildebrand Law Firm, and then I would get a phone call, or I would see an article, or there would be something truly miraculous that would happen that would give me exactly the answer that I needed in order to move forward with a really great outcome for a client. And at the end of the day, wow, does it feel amazing to say, yeah, I participated in that incredible answer that came to this case that resulted in really good things for this client. And I know that I was able to give them more because of being aligned with my higher power. And so I'm so thankful for that. I feel like it is literally the most important element of growing a business.
I love it. And, I hear as well, and it's, whatever people, if they want to say higher power, if they want to say universe, they want to say God, if they want to say,
Yep.
they say nothing, it's
Right.
but it's also being aligned, it's being connected. And what I'm hearing you talking about is being connected. And, and I believe that we're all connected in an energetic sense. And that we have this wisdom within us. And when we quiet our mind, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, when we quiet the mind and there's gratitude and pieces, of that sort, answers do come, and they do
Yes.
come. And, so I love it. And it is very powerful because it does start with you, and it just, it shines out. So we are a reflection. We are ultimately a reflection of each other. But Kirsten, I have really enjoyed our conversation. I could actually go on for a lot longer, but we cannot, but we'll have to have you again on
Oh, I
here.
would love that. That would be outstanding.
Oh,
Yes.
it's been such a pleasure. Thank you very much. And I look forward to continuing our conversation, either on the podcast or another time.
Absolutely, Catherine. Thank you so much. This has been a true joy. I really appreciate you and for what you're doing and getting this information out and really passing it on to people who are trying to grow their businesses.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy Podcast. If you're ready to align your soul with your business, take back your time, and grow with intention, we'd love to connect. Visit accelerategrowth45.com to schedule a call, apply to be a guest, or take the next step toward building a soul-aligned business. At AG45, we believe when business meets value, wealth meets legacy, and time meets freedom, the journey becomes truly enjoyable. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep building your legacy.